I got it. Anyway, first of all, to each and every one, a very warm welcome. And at the top of the morning to you.
And the rest of the day to yourself.
Sure, there's one person in the audience that understands the Irish.
Again,
anyway,
40 years of having to say
40,
that.
That's true. That's true, Mike. First of all, I'd just like to say a very warm welcome to everybody. Today we have a very lovely. Every day has been fantastic. This day is going to be lovely also. We're going to start off with the purpose and the process of holistic learning, and that's with Chandrakant, Shrivastav. And we also then are going to have discover or your untapped in eternal happiness and peace within, and that's Sata Galera. And then how to change in the afternoon. We're going to how to change our racial narrative and begin to heal. David Mura is very highly respected, and Shiv was great that you could get him. And then just as a follow-up to that, Jagdish's niece, who is very much involved with human rights, etc., we understanding and addressing anti-Asian hate. Both of these, I think, is David Mura from the United States, Shiv? Shiv? Anyhow.
He is from the United States.
Okay, and you've got Tarty, is she from the States also?
Right.
Is basically the Jagdish's niece from the States?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So it'll be definitely those conversations will certainly be have a tilt, I would think, from the U.S. Not that we're brilliant up here, but it certainly is. You don't have to look very far to see basically what the situation is there. And then we have a very, very precious presentation. Our good friend Orst Bedridge, who passed this year. He was an incredibly brilliant mathematician. He was the software. He wrote the software for the lunar lander, etc., and also developed the Perfections in Enlightened Meditation, which Nancy Bragan's going to take us through. And this will be fantastic in terms of it'll just be wonderful to have him. But without further ado, I'm going to turn. First of all, we have a lovely person. We're changing it up today. We've got two very good. Is that coming up, by the way? I don't know. There it is. We've two. What I would say is the two MCs to us today. One is Ecom, is currently in his fourth year. Ecom Gill, I should say. He's an undergrad studies at the University of Waterloo. An honor is for honors biology. Very curious, introspective student with a student of the Sikh faith, and he has constantly been exposed to the idea of raising your consciousness to higher levels. He actually gave us a very good meditation a couple of years ago at Shen. Currently, he's developing a course alongside who else but Dr. Shiv Tarwal to tie biology and spiritual aspects of consciousness and breathing. And he will be our MC. And he's there. I'm going to use you this morning, if you wouldn't mind. And actually, would you also just take your video, put your video on there, if you wouldn't mind. No, sorry. Anyway, I thought it was Ecom. It's not Ecom. It's not Ecom. He's not there, right? I can't see him, Mike. Anyway, instead, Harleen thank you, Harleen. It's great to have you here. Harleen was going to do the afternoon. We'll have Harleen do this morning. Harleen Sidhu is a graduate of University of Waterloo for biomedical science, where she is able to get an understanding of the fields of biology and medicine to gain knowledge about the human body and life. Currently, working alongside who else? Dr. Shiv Tarwal, to develop a course that has the goal of promoting education and awareness about the process of deep breathing. Harleen has an interest in applying her biomedical science knowledge to the field of holistic science to bring further unity between the two subjects. Harleen, would you just introduce Chandrakant?
Yes.
Are you there? Okay.
So introducing Chandrakant Shrivastav. He is now the Deputy Director of Holistic Science and Research Center in Surat.
Sorry about that. Yep, there you are. Yep.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of his background.
The Holistic Science Research Center was established in 2009, inspired by a holistic scientist, Mr. Patel. He has 85 publications in the forms of books, journals, e-magazines on spiritual science and life and living in various Indian and foreign languages. He conducted the Asian Philosophy Conference in 2018, where there was a participation of 400 delegates from India and abroad. He also conducted the 92nd Indian Philosophical Congress in 2018, where there was participation from 400 scholars from India and abroad. He also was a part of the international seminar organized at Oak Ridge, Tennessee, USA in 2010, where there's participation from 80 delegates. And he also conducts weekly webinars every Sunday on education in holistic life and living. Chandrakant has served as a professor of English literature in universities. His main interest is Indian philosophy and ancient wisdom, evident in epics and scriptures. Presently, he coordinates webinar sessions on Vitrag Vigyan of holistic scientist Shri A.M. Patel, serving as the Deputy Director of Holistic Science and Research Center in Surat. His main goal is to be instrumental in spreading the holistic science.
A man man is guest of nature. It's his philosophy. And then if you could just overview his presentation, Harleen.
Yeah, so in his presentation, we'll be looking at current education, what is holistic learning, the 4 pillars of holistic life, the ancient Indian system, the idea of 4 stages of a human life, the science of karma. And the main objective of his presentation is to connect people to holistic consciousness for peaceful life of content.
Wonderful. Now, Chandrakant, you want me to run the slides, or Chandrakant, do you want me to run the slides? Okay, give me a second.
Even I can also share, no issue.
Oh, well, share. So why don't, if you're comfortable doing that, please share.
Made me co-host.
Yeah,
Okay.
you are a co-host. Yeah.
Thanks, Harleen. That was wonderful.
Huh? Thank you. And Bantan.
Okay, I'm unable to share. I think some technical issue.
Okay.
You please share.
No worries. I will do yours. No problem at all. Okay.
No, Chandrakant, you can share your you can share your screen. You are a co-host.
He's having trouble with it. I have yours. You just tell me when to turn the slides, Chandrakant.
This is fine.
Okay. So very warm welcome to you, and thank you, Harleen, for the introduction. And it's over to you. This is your first slide. Just tell me. I'll follow along, and if I go too fast,
Please.
yeah. Okay.
Take the next one.
Okay. We talked
Next
about
one.
that. Yeah.
Next one.
There we go.
And next, Bash. Thank you very much. So to begin with, my humble salutation at the divine lotus feet of our Guru, Ambalal Mulji Bhai Patel, who is more holistic scientist and who imparted this holistic education to a host of others and all of us. I pay my humble obeisance to all the present participants. Thank you very much, Harleen, and thanks a lot, Fred. My topic is the purpose and process of holistic learning. So this word holistic, few decades ago, I have doubt whether it really existed. Holistic, which is whole, which is not as a part, which is not a fragment. We all know the story of few blind men who clung to the different parts of elephant and were proclaiming that they knew what actually elephant is. It's a pillar, or it's a banana leaf, or it's a python, or it's a rope. So that was a unidirectional approach. Holistic approach is complete. It gives bird's eye view, and holistic learning can take us, lead us to the supreme goal. Because in this journey of life, to cling to a very small part and to walk over and over may not lead to the expected and desired destination. So holistic is complete. Coming to the word learning, this learning is by default in all beings. Important lessons of survival come directly from nature. Newly born babies need not learn how to suck from the breast of mother, and so many other skills, even in animals. They are not imparted any training by their parents. It comes to them naturally. So learning is intrinsic nature of all beings. This learning, it gets expanded with the passing of time, and then happens evolution, which is the result of integrated learning and improvement. For human beings, this area of learning has become very, very vast these days. According to the holistic scientist, Mr. A.M. Patel, each human being is an indivisible part of nature. To understand nature, one has to understand one's own self. He has given this wonderful quotation, man is the guest of nature. He says, means nature is there to take best care of mankind. A man has to do nothing more for his survival. All the basic needs are fulfilled. Host is there. Problems occur when man tries to become the owner, and that attitude results in crisis. We all are very well aware that scientific progress is at its height. We are living in the age of clicks and touch. Yet, there is much frustration, depression. People are there who can't say confidently that they are really very, very happy. The world is passing by the crisis. I remember an incident when Maxim Gorky was addressing an assembly of peasants. His topic was the wonder of science, marvels of technology. A farmer stood up and said, yes, we can fly in the air like birds. We can swim in the water like fishes. But how to live on the earth, we do not know. So the training, the education of how to live on the earth is holistic learning. Referring to some ancient Upanishads, there is one beautiful prayer in which the purpose of this holistic learning is reflected. I would like to sing it for a minute. Asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya Mrityorma amrutam gamaya. This short prayer describes the journey which a human life has to take. It's a journey from one point towards its destination. Asato ma sadgamaya. The starting point is asat, which is fake, which is illusion, which is not real, which is unreal. And the destination is Sat. Sat is real. Sat is permanent. Then the starting point is darkness. May we be taken from darkness to light. This darkness is the darkness of ignorance. Nothing in spite of groping in the dark can be had. So the journey starts from darkness, and this holistic learning then will take it to light. That light is light of knowledge. Third thing which the prayer talks about is Mrityorma Amrutam Gamaya. This is the journey from death to immortality. In other words, I may fear whether to say or not, but this is the journey from body to soul. This is journey from the initial consideration of oneself as physical to ethereal. Now the point is whether present education and holistic learning. Please get back to previous slide. Fred.
Okay.
Slide number 1.
Oh,
Present
slide number
learning.
one.
Present education and holistic learning. Prevailing education, the faculty involved in learning is intellect. There is emphasis on particular skill. Hence, there is less appeal to mind which is a mine of knowledge, mind which wherein dwells the enormous power. Our prevailing education does not turn to it. Secondly, the deficiency in the existing education is that it's based on stock of information, because this is not holistic. It's partly, and memory is involved. Learning this stock on information. The system is throughout the year go on eating, and once while during assessment try to give out as much as one can. So this is reading, keeping in mind, taking help of memory, storing it somewhere, recalling and presenting is in this. So this renders forgetfulness towards self. Our schools and colleges do not talk about self, do not talk about the power of mind. In the third place, the present education, it is useful to earn, to make career, to grow financially, but that is not sufficient for human life. Latter, because of so many desires, man is the bundle of desire, and nobody knows what is enough, where is enough, where to stop. Once the race starts, he goes on and on and on until he feels frustrated. At this point, I remember a poem, a beautiful American poem called Richard Cory. Richard Cory is a fiction. He was such an impressive man that all people of America would dream to have his place. He was a role model of youth, and so rich, so prosperous. So people would dream, they would pray to Almighty that in some birth, let them be like Richard Cory. And this Richard Corey one summer night in the evening, at very young age, at the age of 28, shut himself in a room and put bullet through his brain. So this suggests somewhere that so-called financial success has little to do with inner satisfaction. Now, comparing holistic learning with present education, it will deal with family and household, whereas present education, a person has constant thinking of individual personal development, whether as a doctor, as an engineer, I will do this, I will do that. Holistic learning, it gives the idea that he is not alone, he is not individual, he is a member of family. As a member of society, he himself is society. So holistic learning deals with family and household. So naturally heart is involved when it comes to take care of one another. Intellect is involved. While dealing with society, inner purport is employed. People do bhav. When somebody is sick, people go and to see him. They have this inner intent to get well soon, and that such vibrations are sent, and the sick person, he can grasp it and he feels better. Then holistic learning is about life and living both. So the tools employed are mind as well as consciousness, and most of all, holistic learning deals with the quest for self. That is, knowing the self, spiritualism. Next slide, please, Fred. Coming to the purpose of holistic learning, I would like to share here one very interesting incident. A monk came and settled at the outskirts of a village, and in that village, a problem occurred. A wounded dog fell into the well and died. The villagers decided, why not take the benefit of this intelligent monk we have? Let us go and ask him what to do in such situation. The monk said, just pour plenty of rose water in that well and the problem will be solved within a couple of days. They did so. But after 3 or 4 days, again people approached him, narrating the same issue. This time he said, use sandalwood, plenty of sandalwood. Throw all sandalwood, whatever you have, in the well, and let us see for a couple of days. After doing so, again people approached him, telling him the same problem persists. This time he had a doubt and he asked, gentlemen, have you withdrawn the dead body of that dog from the well or not? And the villager said, that you never told in the beginning. Holistic learning will withdraw before pouring all these values, meditation, truth, all the positive qualities. Holistic learning will withdraw this anger, fear, ego, deceit, and greed. These are the 4 impurities, 4 enemies lying within, and they are the hurdles in the journey towards our goal. And so subtler they are that any one of them suddenly rises and creates and stops the journey. It's a big challenge to overcome them, but it is not impossible. So I will not go in very much detail. We all know anger. Bhagavad Gita says, Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohas smruti vibhrama, Smruti Bhranshat Buddhi Nasho Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. Anger can lead to the total dysfunctioning of right intellect. My goodness, what can be more harmful than this? Total dysfunctioning, total destruction of right intellect. Anger can be responsible for this. So one has to be aware about this. So here, holistic scientist Mr. A.M. Patel has very simply stated, you have to exercise only awareness. See to it that you do not feed these emotions by supporting your stand. If one is really angry, he should later repent on it. He should not say that my anger was correct or I was right. Generally, what happens in the inner world, a person himself is a culprit. He also plays the role of lawyer. Then he takes up as a judge. Now, what will be the then verdict? So A.M. Patel, a holistic scientist, has suggested if one has to be aware about this. He himself is the judge, he himself is the lawyer, and he himself is defending himself. So verdict will not be very good. So good care has to be taken to avoid supporting anger. Yes, it was my fault. Yes, I feel sorry. There is no shame in tears. There is no shame in accepting guilt. Secondly, ego. This is also one of the very harmful enemies, and when it comes and goes, one is not aware. Third is the deceit. Deceit is the desire where intellect is employed, and one thinks to have what does not actually belong to him. Greed, we know, desire, that is the root cause of evil. This is also very subtle. So one has to be very aware about these impurities, and this is the purpose of holistic learning, to remove these impurities from the mind one by one, and same time on the and parallelly to promote all these things mentioned in the circle left hand side, that is generating values. So human life can't be imagined without values. If lack of values, whatever learning happened might not be fruitful. These days, we have corrupted learned. When there are the news like the scandals and terrorist attacks and doing this and doing this, the anti-social activities, those people are really very learned. I just read somewhere, even some dangerous terrorists, they are highly qualified engineers. They know how to make bombs and other things. So knowledge is there, education is there, value is missing. So generating values is the basic purpose of holistic learning. And what is the most important value here? When we talk about value, basic value is fostering the feeling to live and let live. Mr. A.M. Patel suggested every day all human beings should repeat these words before beginning their day, that let my mind, body, and speech not hurt any creature in the world, even to the slightest extent today. So this is basically respecting the fellowship and learning coexistence. Further, values indicates living life of moderation, not to cause any harm to our ecology and ecosystem, even using the earth's resources mankind are advised to use just as bee sucks honey without causing any harm to blossom. Many wants limited our resources. So want should be reduced. Using any resource beyond one's limit is considered or should be considered as a form of theft and violence. So generating values is the primary function and purpose of holistic learning. Secondly, creating quest for self. Each human being should have this goal. He should know the journey has started, but what is the destination point of journey? Our existing education speaks very little about this. And for creating quest, the tool is meditation, peeping inside, introspection, contemplation. In this session, we have brilliant yoga practices and amazing sessions of meditation. Thank you very much for this, all this. Thanks a lot. So meditation, to talk about meditation, it happens this time everywhere, and it's a good thing. Holistic learning is prevailing, even though with low speed. People talk about meditation. Holistic scientists have described that meditation occurs. It is not an activity to do. Most people, all the people, they are already in the condition, in the situation of meditation. This meditation happens, but they are not aware. He has categorized this into two: positive meditation and negative meditation. A person who is constantly thinking to cheat others, to have control by foul means, by using his intellect, actually he is in meditation, and he named it as Raudra Dhyan. The dhyan, the meditation, he is involved in Raudra because he is focused. The next one, which is the next one which is negative, Artha Dhyan. Artha Dhyan, when a person worries, what will happen to me? What will happen to my family? What if I die at this age? If one becomes united with this thought, then that meditation is scheduled as Artha Dhyan. Both are negative. The earlier one, Raudra Dhyan, is more negative because it causes dangers to others, to society. Second is less negative in the sense it causes harm only to the doer. So says A.M. Patel, if you refrain from these two meditations, you are doing Dharma Dhyan. It is safe position. And the last is Shukla Dhyan, that is to be learned with the help of Guru. So this is the purpose of holistic learning, and the four pillars of holistic learning on which this holistic learning resides are Dharma, Artha, Kam and Moksha. These are the four goals to be achieved in human life. Generally, people in our era, they are after Artha and Kama. Dharma and Moksha are forgotten. But these are four wheels of a car. If life is a car, these are the four wheels. And generally people are driving the car having only two wheels. Let us briefly discuss them. Dharma is righteousness. It has nothing to do with religion or religious rituals. In the Mahabharata, this term is referred again and again when Lord Krishna says, I am towards the side of Pandavas because Dharma is on their side. So this Dharma is righteousness. Dharma, it relates to duties. Dharma is non-violence. Dharma is the service. And Dharma is compassion. So righteousness is Dharma. Second goal to be achieved is Artha. It goes beyond saying everybody is after money. So, and it is required. Scripture support. That is why money and earning is referred as getting Lakshmi. For fulfilling self needs, for the sake of charity, Artha is required. But Dharma and Artha, they are connected in such a way that if earning is done without righteousness, then the results are ghastly. Warnings are given in the scriptures. So while earning, good care has to be taken. That amount might be little, but whatever we earn, it should be very pious. It should not come out of adharma. Then turning to kama, kama is desire. Artha and kama. Artha is required to fulfill kamana. And while dealing with these kamanas, desires, man is a bundle of desire. As soon as one is fulfilled, three others stand up suddenly. And they grow in multiplication. And there is no end till the last breath of life. There is some or the other desire. So one has to stop somewhere. One has to be aware that he should not be the slave to the mind as regards desire. And the last one, which is very, very important, which is the supreme goal, that is moksha. Moksha is a bliss. Moksha is freedom from suffering. Moksha is freedom from the cycle of births and deaths. And this goal has been set by the Indian scriptures and ancient wisdom. Our ultimate destination is moksha. Please, next. So to achieve these four goals, further, they have divided the life in four parts. What a wonderful system. They said, let there be four stages in life. And this is flexible. This is not rigid. These four stages are Brahmacharya ashram. Earlier it was considered a human span is 100 years old. So the
15 minutes.
Thank you. Brahmacharya ashram. Brahmacharya ashram, according to Hindi ordeal, it is a span of 25 years. And this is the period of disciplining the senses, the practice of continence, mental discipline. During the period of studentship, the foundation of life is to be laid properly. So if it fails, the life is bound to be a failure. So this is the reason great stress is laid on brahmacharya, that is celibacy, that is exercising control over sensual pleasures during learning. Students were sent to Gurukul and ashrams where there were no temptations. Good care was to be taken that their energy should not be consumed in satisfying sensual pleasures, particularly sexual pleasures in this age 1 to 25, in the adolescent age, that sexual pleasure can be transformed into ojas, which can, Swami Vivekananda said, can be stored in brain and can result in amazing skills of mind and intellect. The second stage, which they describe, is Grihastha ashram. Grihastha is a family man. He has to, it is his responsibility after brahmacharya, he can enter this stage and take good care of his family. At the same time, he can help society. Third stage is Vanaprastha, from 50 onwards. This now is the stage to withdraw. After involving fully with the world, now at this stage, one has to withdraw like tortoise, partly detachment. And the last stage is sannyasa, which is absolute renunciation of worldly operation. So sannyasa is the stage when one has to withdraw himself from all the household responsibilities, and it is the time to give something back to the world, to the society. So sannyasis, they would stay in the forest and do yajnas. In today's context, I should say, our all dear scholars, Shiv Talwarji, Pradeep Kumarji, Dr. Jagdish Kohli, they all are in today's context great sannyasis, and they are doing this very huge, grand Mahayajna, yajna of knowledge, and the offerings are, this is presentation. So this is wonderful thing. These are the 4 stages of life: Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. Next slide, please, Fred. So these are, we have now considered the purpose and process. Now briefly talking about the process of holistic learning, how to proceed. Primary education, which should be the value education and should be in mother tongue. In India, they say education starts, learning starts right from the moment when the baby is in the womb. They refer it as a Garbhadhan Sanskar. Right from the time when the baby is in the womb, the mother is given beautiful, nice literature to read, so that whatever she reads, whatever she grasps, it believe that it passes to the fetus inside. Now, parents training too is very important for this holistic learning, because it is a process of molding minds. Children learn what they see. Okay, so they have direct impact from their parents and society. So good care has to be taken. Inclusion of spiritualism in higher studies. Our prevailing education, they lack. So we can introduce how wonderfully some sessions were conducted for meditation. So such classes, some guided meditation, and most of all, basically the study of all the principal religions of the world can be introduced in this process of holistic learning.
5 minutes.
And this way we can promote spiritual quest. We can return to our ancient system of spiritual education, back to Vedas. We have to explore, empower, and enlighten. There is much to explore. There is still much to decode. Next slide, please. With this, I conclude the prayer of Shukla Yajurveda. Let there be balance in the space. Can you please voice it, please?
What did
Audio
you say?
is missing. Right.
Sorry?
Audio is missing. Please play that prayer.
Okay, I'm trying to, but it's not. Hang on 2 seconds. I got to come out of here. Give me 2 seconds.
This is known as Swasti Prarthana. And you please keep the vibrations.
Can you hear it, Shanta? Can you hear it?
Swastina Pokal Vishwa Veda स्वस्ति नस्तारक्षो अरिष्टने मे स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ पयः पृथिव्यां पय ओषधे पयो दिव्यन्तरिक्षे पयोधाः पयस्वतेः प्रदिशः सन्तु मह्यम् ॐ विष्णोररागमसि विष्णोः श्रोत्रेस्थो विष्णोः शोरसि विष्णोर्ध्रुवोऽसि वैष्णवमसि विष्णवे त्वा ॐ अग्निर्देवता वातो देवता सूर्यो देवता चन्द्रमा देवता वसवो देवता रुद्रा देवता जित्या देवता मरुतो देवता विश्वे देवा देवता बृहस्पतिर्देवतेन्द्रो देवता वरुणो देवता ॐ चत्वारि शृङ्गात्रयो अस्य पादा द्वे शीरेखे सप्तहस्तासो अस्य त्रिधा बद्धो वृषभोरोरवेति महो देवो मर्त्यान् आविवेश नमः शम्भवाय च मयो भवाय च नमः शङ्कराय च मयस्कराय च नमः शिवाय च शिवतराय च अदितिर्जौरदितिरन्तरिक्षमदितिर्माता स पिता स पुत्रः विश्वे देवा अदितिः पञ्च जना अदितिर्जातमदितिर्जनित्वम् दीर्घायुत्वाय बलाय वर्चसे सुप्रजास्वाय सहसा अथो जीव शरदः शतम् यौः शान्तिरन्तरिक्षो शान्तिः पृथिवी शान्तिरापः शान्तिरौषधयः शान्तिर्वनस्पतयः शान्तिर्विश्वे देवाः शान्तिर्ब्रह्म शान्तिः सर्वतो शान्तिः शान्तिरेव शान्तिः सामा शान्तिरेधि ॐ शान्तिः 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 सुशान्तिर्भवतु सर्वारिष्टशान्तिर्भवतु श्रीरस्तु कल्याणमस्तु शुभं भूयात्.
Thank you very much. With this, I stop and please, Fred, see whether there are any questions.
Absolutely. Just stop share here for a second. And Harleen, I'll just turn on, if you put your video on. There you are. Are there any questions in the chat line? Can you see?
I believe we have a comment from Javasu.
Yep.
In education, the most important component is to recognize the innate nature or the dosha of the child and create a learning framework according to that nature rather than imposing it from above.
Did you want to expand on that, Shrivastav?
Yes. In ancient system of education, Ayurveda played a very important role. And the first thing in Ayurveda is to understand my dosha, my personality, my innate nature with which I am born. And create a framework of education according to that, rather than creating a framework before that and trying to fit the child into it. Then it becomes a prison and a cage. So that
Yes,
is
sir, I agree. Very good.
Well, let me throw it open to anybody else that wants to make a comment. Shiv, Jagdish, anybody else that would like to make a comment or a question. By the way, first of all, wonderful presentation. And as a Catholic, you're making me feel guilty of the things I'm supposed to be doing. So.
Chandrakant, can you please share how your center is imparting holistic education by its certificate program and giving regularly. Can you please share that?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Jagdish ji. Holistic Science Research Center, we conduct one certificate course. Its name is Certificate Course in Holistic Science of Life and Living. It's every Sunday for 1.5 hours. It is presented. Its syllabus is 11 principal religions of the world, 2 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, then the theory of Dharma, Artha, Kam and Moksha, and the science of Dada Bhagwan, the holistic scientist, as revealed by him. Secrets of holistic science. And I'm very happy that there is very good response. Right now, our second batch is going on, and the students have a wonderful feedback. I can say that those things are taught here or discussed here, which are not discussed anywhere in schools or colleges. Further, we are looking for to collaborate with some universities and colleges. The result is amazing, and people say, because Dada's A.M. Patel's the preachings are related to worldly dealings as well as on spiritualism. So in both way, there is very beneficial, and there is very good response. Thank you, sir.
Chandra, a comment coming out of your, and I wonder what the rest of the people and Shiv and Jagdish, I'll come to you in just a second, but one of the things that we have a problem with, what you said in actual fact in Western civilization, they read something like that and they say, this is religion. One of the things that you said in your presentation, I wonder, and I think I love it, teaching values. So in other words, if we could, Shiv, rather than calling it spirituality, call it values. And boy, I don't think anybody anywhere in North America would basically resist values education. I'll turn it over, thought process. I'll turn it over to Shiv, because Shiv's been doing this since Moby Dick was a minnow. Shiv?
Yes, thank you, Fred, and thank you, Professor Shrivastav. Beautiful presentation.
Thank you, sir.
A good comprehensive view of what holistic education should be. A very holistic view of holistic education. I don't have that kind of vision as you do. What I have been thinking about is how to deliver it at a global scale. That is what our focus has been. I have an organization here called Spiritual Heritage Education Network, and the goal is reaching for the moon. How to deliver it globally, and of course there can be some principles that we can state at the global level, but the implementation has to be local. So that is what we have been working on as an organization. And if you permit me to share a screen, that's what I would like to do. Am I sharing the wrong screen?
Well, this is World Junior One. It's a global education holistic planning.
Yeah, that is what. Yeah, where you can natural sciences, life sciences, social sciences, humanities. Okay, I'll come to this diagram after talking about another, which is more important thing. And that is how to make a human or holistic personality, the regulation of the body, regulation of the breath, regulation of the mind, cultivation of the body, cultivation of the mind, cultivation of the breath, which is the, I would say, interfaces the body and the mind, and then cultivation of the mind. That is number one priority in holistic education. And what that does, it changes your personality biologically. Biologically, it takes the anger away because it calms the mind. When the mind is calm, it just cannot be angry. There's nothing like an angry, calm mind. Okay, if the mind is friendly, then it is not going to be angry. And that is what we need to do. And that's a biological development. And that was recognized by the yogis of India. And that is what we heard from Dr. Khalsa yesterday. The most important subject has to be practical. Okay. And not only it has to be practically, it has to be practiced by the student. The students must learn these practices. In higher education, we can also teach how these practices biologically change you. It's a transformational process. And those concepts that should come at a higher level of education should be comprised of the concepts, the exploration of those concepts through natural science, life sciences, social sciences, and also scriptural wisdom. And I call the convergence of these four, scriptural wisdom, social sciences, life sciences, natural sciences, as holistic science. And scriptures, they have the most comprehensive truths, holistic truths, and to teach them through the scriptures, in a lot of the word, it is not going to work.
Impossible. Shiv, do you have your video that you were, I thought that next video you produced, would this be, because we have time. I'm just wondering, because we've got some other questions, but if you can queue it up, it would be great to get.
I will conclude it soon.
Yeah. So, no, I'm saying it would be great to get your video for Chandrakant to take a look at while we're here, and everybody else for that matter, if you have time.
What your school can offer to such a child? Okay.
Okay, so go ahead, Shiv.
I had, the first presentation that I made on Monday, I think that video is something that sums it all up, except that I didn't have the time to talk about this picture. And this picture essentially talks about how to deliver the scriptural wisdom. Okay. In the Islamic countries, they're going to be talking about the Quran as a scripture, not the Vedas. In the Christian countries, the Bible as a scripture. So we can teach yoga, yogic philosophy, referring to the Quran and the Bible and the Vedas. And also, without any reference to any of the scriptures, through social sciences, psychology, and also the life sciences. physiology, biomedical research, biomedical understanding. And as far as the whole universe is concerned, where the whole universe came from, overall concepts could be taught through natural sciences. So I'm talking of how to do it at a global scale so that we do not threaten anybody's religion. We do not go into religion at all. We are talking of scriptural wisdom here, not the scriptures in total. A lot of the scripture is dogma, and I'm not going there. Just taking the gold out of the scriptures, which converges with all the sciences. That is what we need. And we can teach it scientifically through religion and culture, through psychology, through philosophy, different ways of teaching. So with that, I think I've made the point that I wanted to make, and I could not make it on Monday.
Okay, thank you, Shiv.
Thank you.
Sidhu, you've got some more questions, and there's a question there for Shivasu. Do you want to handle that? It's in the chat line.
If a child who doesn't like part of your education, what can your school offer to such a child?
Did you get that, Chandrakant?
Yes,
It's
it is
yeah.
from Pradeep Kumari, I think. If
From
a
Shivasu?
child who doesn't like part of your education, what your school can offer to such a child? Well, in each being, there is some aspiration, some craving is there to learn. For such child who is not interested in reading, writing, we can train him in yoga, or perhaps his inner build-up is suitable for this meditation. So we can offer yoga course for such child. Those who are not interested in learning, and it is found that such students, they do very good progress. Thank you.
A question, Chandrakant, how do you handle, like in education here, we've got a lot of children that, especially that ADHD and all that stuff that's going around. You have different people that learn different ways. And specifically, we've got a terrible thing of classifying that they've got a learning disability when everybody learns differently. How do you deal with that in your school? Kids that let's say that they're not learning the way that you're teaching them. How do you deal with that?
Well, first of all, we have to accept them as they are. Education cannot be imposed upon anybody deliberately. So acceptance, after acceptance, as per their interest, whatever they desire to learn as per their level, it can be imparted. Education is a very broad concept, and so varied are the interests. Intelligence is very, very wide. Those who are dyslexic, they are found to be good at spatial intelligence. They know how to manage more and more by using less space. So it's a very huge thing. And by asking a person to find out what his inner strength is, if he introspects, he will discover what is his inner strength. And as soon as the voice comes from within, so that he can pursue. Thank you.
Thanks, Chandrakant. Harlan's another.
Yeah.
Sorry, Shiv. Sorry, Shiv, we got one more question from
Okay.
the chat line. Go ahead, Harlan.
Yes. Should holistic education not include as well learning from animals, plants, trees, nature, etc.?
Chandrakant?
Yes, why not? Why not? Holistic education, it welcomes all the useful, nice, beneficial without considering its source. In our area, there is one god called demigod who has his gurus 40 animals. And he says, I learned this virtue from this animal, I learned this virtue from that animal. So this is welcome thought. Holistic education can include learning from animals, plants, trees, nature. For sure, it's very nice.
Thanks, Andres. Shiv, you want to say something?
Couple of things to be said, Fred. You talked about ADHD and other learning disabilities. The best way is the way that Dr. Khalsa presented yesterday. Yoga and breathing exercises. They prepare the body and the mind both for learning. And to deal with ADHD, attention deficit activity disorder, both of these are disorders. And holistic education have to teach how to cultivate the body and the mind so that these disabilities, if they are natural, they should go away. And if they are not natural, people have the tendencies to prevent them.
I'd argue, Shiv, they are not disabilities. We just don't understand how to teach them. But anyhow,
well,
Ben,
we have that is what we have to learn.
Yep.
And second thing I wanted to do was recognize Ben.
Ben Bowler, it's got a question.
He is the brain behind World Unity Week, and not only the brain, the body. He works 24/7 all the time. I'm going to put a spotlight on Ben.
Well, thank you.
Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
You're not interrupting at all.
I really appreciated the conversation. I've been watching some of it on the one stream where it's been broadcasting. We have a group of people in another room that are ready to use the live stream. So we need to end, not this meeting, but just the live stream now, Shiv, because there are some people.
Hang on, Ben, you're kicking us off. What are you doing?
No, it was because until the top of the hour.
No, Ben, we're very upset. Very upset. I'm kidding you. Anyway, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, God bless.